answer.
Your prior answer was to obfuscate, and it's become very clear you're unwilling to answer very simple questions because it's very clear what that weaponization group is all about, and that is using the awesome powers of the Department of Justice to go after the president's enemies. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Adam Schiff just brought a sledgehammer to an evasion contest. We are talking about a nominee for the Department of Justice, DOJ, the most powerful law enforcement agency in America, who didn't even dare to utter the word yes or no to with DOLEF, the most basic question about professional ethics. This isn't just a political squabble. This is the dissection of a shady organization called the Weaponization Working Group. And when Schiff pulled out the ironclad receipt, the Justice Department's own manual, nominee McDonald's defensive strategy completely collapsed, leaving nothing but a blatant cover-up. Watch until the end, because the moment Schiff asks the chairman for help and gets a bucket of cold water in return is a masterclass in how you expose a system that condones being above the law. Hit subscribe, because when the DOJ is turned into a weapon for personal attacks, you need to see these tactics clearly.
Mr. McDonald, were you part of the DOJ's Weaponization Working Group?
Senator, as referenced earlier in some questioning during the hearing today, the Weaponization Working Group, as commissioned by the President.
A simple yes or no would do. Were you part of the Weaponization Working Group?
Senator, as I referenced earlier in questions before the panel, the Weaponization Working Group, as commissioned by the President and then the Attorney General,
I still haven't gotten an answer. Were you involved with the Weaponization Working Group, yes or no?
Schiff doesn't rely on tricky gotcha questions. He simply offers a binary choice. Yes or no, were you part of that group? But look at how McDonald reacts. He immediately switches to reading a scripted template. As I referenced earlier, this is textbook media training to stall for time and dodge the blow. Why is an official so terrified of acknowledging his own job title? Because in a hearing under oath, the word yes or no is a sentence. If McDonald says yes, he will immediately be hounded by a flurry of subpoenas, forced to hand over emails and texts, and held accountable for everything this group does. If he lies and says no, he faces the risk of prison for perjury. So McDonald takes the only way out. He turns on robot mode and regurgitates a lengthy speech to burn the senator's precious 5 minutes. But Schiff sees right through it. In practical politics, letting your opponent ramble means you've lost control of the tempo. Notice how Schiff constantly interrupts. He cuts off McDonald's escape route by emphasizing, I am asking you a simple question right now, by backing McDonald into a corner and exposing this ridiculous runaround. Schiff doesn't even need an answer anymore. That very stuttering and evasion has showed all of America a clear truth. This powerful nominee is terrified of the light shining on his actual work. And just when the opponent is flustered from being exposed, that's when Schiff drops his ultimate receipt.
Question
was rightly
identified. I don't know
identified.
why you won't answer a simple question, but let me ask you a different question. Do you believe that members of the Weaponization Working Group need to abide by the Justice Department manual? Yes or no?
Senator, as a career federal prosecutor,
I'm asking you a simple question,
I am
yes
very
or no.
well familiar with the U.S. Department of Justice manual.
I'm glad you are. Do you feel the manual applies to people in the Weaponization Working Group? Do they have to abide by it? Yes or no?
Senator, as you know,
why is that a difficult question for you to answer? Do you believe that members of the Weaponization Work Group have to abide by ethical practices?
Senator, all Department of Justice employees,
so is
every day.
Is that a yes?
Every day.
I'm asking a very specific question, not about all department employees, but about employees in the Weaponization Working Group. Do they have to abide by the Justice Department manual, yes or no?
Senator, all Department of Justice employees.
So that's a yes?
Operate within the provisions
of the
Justice Manual.
Mr. McDonald, is that a yes?
Senator, I would refer you to the answer that I just gave.
Or is the Weaponization Working Group something different? Are you suggesting that it's different, that it doesn't have to abide by the ethics manual, that it doesn't have to abide by ethics at all? Why are you refusing to answer a simple question?
The core receipt in Schiff's hand isn't a leaked email or a secret audio recording. It is the sharpest weapon in a hearing. the organization's own rules. The Justice Department manual is the immutable rulebook for every prosecutor. Schiff sets a logical trap that McDonald has absolutely no way out of. If this manual is the foundational rule, why don't you dare confirm that your weaponization group has to abide by it? Look closely at McDonald's defensive tactic. When pushed to his fatal weak point, he immediately pulls out a basic media trick, the resume shield. He tries to pivot by bragging about his seniority. As a career federal prosecutor, I am very familiar with what's the point of this statement? It's to create a veneer of credibility, implicitly saying, I'm the expert here. Don't lecture me on the law. But Schiff isn't some rookie who can be manipulated. He throws a verbal judo throw, using the opponent's own momentum to take them down. He directly smashes that resume shield. I know you are familiar with it. I'm glad you are. But do you abide by it? That is a lethal counterpunch. All of McDonald's excuses shatter. Schiff drowns his opponent with the finishing question. Why is that a difficult question for you to answer? Exactly.
Did you ever witness any of the members of the working group violate rules regarding grand jury secrecy? Yes or no?
Senator, as I referenced in my prior testimony, the Weaponization Working Group
You won't
is
answer that
working
question.
diligently to understand the historic abuses and weaponization
and
of
see
the
if you're
Department
willing
of
to
Justice
answer it.
in the Biden
Mr.
administration.
McDonald, did you ever witness anyone in the Weaponization Working Group violate the law? Yes or no?
Senator, I would refer you to my prior answer.
I will not assist you. That is not a chairman running a fair committee meeting. That is raw, naked complicity. When the highest authority in the room publicly refuses to help a senator get a simple yes or no answer to a basic question, it sends a crystal clear signal to the witness. Keep your mouth shut. We will protect you. The referee didn't just look the other way. He put on the jersey of the opposing team. And let's talk about that final devastating question. When a senator has to remind a nominee for the Department of Justice that he is flat out refusing to answer whether he witnessed a violation of the law, that is the exact moment that accountability dies on my television. Think about how easy that question should be. If you are clean, if your organization is above board, the answer is a booming, immediate no. But McDonald couldn't do it. He retreated back to his media-trained bunker, hiding behind my prior answer. By refusing to deny witnessing a crime, he gave the loudest confession of the entire hearing.
There are many unanswered questions about the so-called National Fraud Enforcement Division. Some are very basic. In January, Vice President Vance claimed that he would be the operation would be run out of the White House under his and President Trump's supervision. Then the Justice Department contradicted the Vice President, excuse me, and claimed that the new division's Assistant Attorney General would report to Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, not the Vice President. Then we saw last night at the State of the Union address a handshake and handoff to the Vice President again. The confusion doesn't stop there. Justice Department officials cannot agree whether the division will absorb staff and resources from the existing civil and criminal division fraud offices or whether it will hire new staff. Last week I spoke to Attorney General Bondi asking for clarification on these issues. She has not responded. So we start with the perennial question, who's on first? We should not move ahead with this nominee with such questions unanswered.
If you think McDonald sweating bullets up there was merely an effort to protect his own job, you are vastly underestimating the board in this game. Right after Schiff's interrogation, Senator Dick Durbin pulled the camera back to show us the entire crime scene. Durbin exposed a brutal paradox. Why would a nominee tapped to lead the so-called National Fraud Enforcement Division not dare to confirm that he abides by basic ethics? The answer lies in what this administration is doing behind the curtain. As Durbin pointed out, they are systematically smashing the Justice Department's decades-old infrastructure for fighting public corruption, crypto crimes, and protecting consumers. Why tear it down? To purge the entire system. They are clearing out prosecutors with integrity to pave the way for multi-million-dollar pardon deals for the president's donors. They are turning federal agents into personal shields and letting the FBI director use government jets like a luxury taxi service for golf getaways and chugging beers in Europe. That is exactly why Schiff's question was so dangerous. McDonald couldn't swear to abide by the Justice Department manual because that manual doesn't allow you to turn a blind eye when your bosses are turning the DOJ into a family business. Durbin's speech is the final piece of the puzzle, proving that McDonald's silence wasn't a glitch. It is a mandatory prerequisite for the job. You are only handed power if you agree to check your integrity at the door. As Schiff brilliantly exposed at the very end, this entire runaround proves exactly what this so-called weaponization group is all about. The irony is sickening. A group supposedly created to investigate the political weaponization of government is in reality being designed solely to use the awesome, terrifying powers of the DOJ to hunt down political opponents. They don't answer questions about ethics because ethics are fundamentally incompatible with their agenda. Schiff didn't get his yes or no, but he got something better. He put their true, sinister motives on the permanent record. This is what happens when justice is hijacked for political revenge. I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below. What do you think when a top DOJ nominee refuses to even confirm that he abides by the law? Does this relentless surgical interrogation by Adam Schiff give you hope that these shadowy political forces can still be exposed and dragged into the light? Let's name the names of those who put partisan loyalty above the core rules of the law. Hit that subscribe button, share this video, and stay vigilant. Goodbye, and see you next time.